Pricing your farm produce that do not have an established market can be a difficult task. And produce, like any other products, can be priced in different ways, or there are different pricing models that you can follow. It can be as simple as listening to your customers, or watching your customers, or knowing your production cost, then adding a profit margin. There's one farmer who once said that if you don't have a certain number or a certain percentage of your customers that are walking away from your store or from your market, it means your pricing is too low because everyone is coming there. So what it means is you really have to make your pricing very, very well in a way that ensures that you are making a profit. So making the pricing process or coming up with a very good pricing model can be a very, very difficult task. But what makes it easier is knowing the right things, knowing what you should do. So there are a number of models that you can follow in order to do it right. So in general, pricing can be in three ways. You can consider your customers, your competition, or your production cost. Let's start off with the first one, which is looking at your customers or what you can call market-based pricing. So this focuses on how the customer or your consumer values your product, how they respond to different price levels. What are they willing to pay? Or what is their perceived value of the product? So first of all, you need to set a price of your product or of your produce that supports the image of your product. For instance, we can take organic farming, for example. Organic products are generally sold at a premium price, and your customers are prepared to pay that premium price because they perceive organic products to be healthier and more nutritious when compared to other products. So the image of your organic product is of higher value in contrast with a non-organic produce. And secondly, you need to consider volume when you are setting your price. Promotional pricing, such as loss leaders, can ensure or can bring in new customers. The idea is that new customers will then purchase other products that you have at a higher price. So you can have one loss leader, and I'm sure you have seen this in supermarkets where there's one product, one cheap product that you are going in for, and you end up buying other costly products from the same supermarket. Then, thirdly, you need to develop a range of prices that fit or that works out well with the different variety of customers that you have. So you need to do a proper research to better understand your customers. How much are they willing to pay? Then set a wide range of products, of prices rather. Then the fourth thing is that when you are coming up with your price, always ensure that you encourage volume purchases. For example, if you have tomatoes, a kg of tomatoes that is selling for $1, you can then have 3 kgs of tomatoes selling for $2.50. That way you can move volumes. So this is very, very common usually during the peak harvest because it might be with tomatoes, we know they are perishable, and it might be better for you to get a lower price than the risk of spoilage. Another thing that you need to consider under customer or market-based pricing is bundling. You need to bundle low volume products with related high volume products. And we know this is very much easier with farm produce. Maybe tomatoes aren't moving, but you have a lot of onions. So what you can do is to say, maybe for a kg of tomatoes, you have 500 grams of onions that you are selling together with your tomatoes. So you also need to do a research to see what products or what produce can be bundled or sold together. And bundling can actually provide an incentive for some customers who are looking for good values. But for this customer-based or market-based pricing to work, you need to be able to convince your customer of the value or your product's benefits. We mentioned about organic farming. What are the benefits of your, say, if you're doing organic sweet potato, what are the benefits or the health benefits of consuming organic sweet potatoes? So make sure your customers can see the clear advantages of purchasing your products over those of competitors. And this is very, very key and very, very important. For you to determine the price that a customer is willing to pay, you need to do a market research. So it always go back to market research. We always talk about market research. Before you actually go into your production, always do a proper market research. And this can be as simple as talking to a few potential customers, or maybe designing or implementing a well-designed questionnaire. Another thing that you need to know is that the disadvantage of market-based pricing is that it ignores your cost of production. There are some chances there that you might end up selling your produce at or below break even. So you need to remember that when you are working on this pricing method. Let's go to the next method. This method is competition-based pricing. It is important to know who the competitor is or who the competition is and what they are doing. Competition can be within the same products or similar products. For example, we have other greens that can compete. We have spinach, it can compete with other spinach, as well as lettuce, and it can compete with other greens as well. So understanding this competition takes time and requires research. So you need to understand how many competitors are in the market, how much the product is being produced for, and where the products are being grown. Are they closer to Mbare market? Are they closer to your local market? And their basis for pricing. There are things that you need to remember when you are using competition-based pricing. First of all, you need to set the price either as the same as your competitors for their similar products that you can maybe price at the same level. Or if the products are unique or specialized, price can then also be different. And the second thing you need to remember is setting lower prices than the competitors. And this is mainly to attract new buyers. The strategies used to gain potential new buyers. And if you set your prices lower, obviously you sell quickly and you can sell volumes. Then also you need to determine and maintain a percentage of the market share. And this is usually a common strategy, following an initial lower price to entice new customers. But just like the first one, the market-based pricing, this also ignores your production cost. So there are higher chances that you could be selling at a loss, and this is really dangerous. And also, this can be it can result in a price war where you lower your price, then your competitor does the same. The other or the third pricing model is cost-based price. To ensure that your products are being sold for a profit, you need to determine your cost accurately. This can be done using an enterprise budget that is developed for each product that contributes substantially to the overall profitability of your business. So the budget that we are talking about must include all your cost of production as well as your marketing or transaction cost, that is getting the product right from the farm or your business to the customer. Then secondly, a profit margin should be added. So after you've calculated your cost, you need to work out a profit margin that then helps you to cover your family living expenses and also other expenses. So the cost-based pricing does not take into consideration what your customer may be willing to pay. Maybe your cost of producing tomatoes is 90 cents and if you add your margin, you are selling maybe at $1.20 or $1.30, but your customer is willing to pay 60 cents. So it really doesn't consider what your customer is willing to pay, and that's a disadvantage. Another thing is that it ignores competition. Competitive pricing may make it impossible to cover all your production and transactional costs. So there is need for a balanced approach to be able to use, say, break-even prices as the floor price, then also determine what the consumers are willing to pay and what the competition will allow as the upper price limit. And that upper price limit can be evaluated to determine what profit margins are available, allowing producers to determine if profit potential meets their pricing goals. So you can use enterprise budgets to determine your costs, and this is very, very key to make a thorough calculation to ensure that you have the right or the accurate production cost. And you can do the same for the marketing costs. And the marketing costs include post-harvest handling, packaging, storage if there is any, as well as labor to sell, the invoices, and the cost of delivering the product to the market. And if you are adding any value, it's also included there as your marketing cost. What are the key steps that you need to follow in order to come up with a very good price? As we know, determining prices is difficult, especially for products that you don't have a market for. But there is a multi-step process that you need to follow. First of all, you need to start by determining your cost. And this is your production and your marketing cost. And the second thing you need to do is to determine the perceived value. How much are your customers, how much are your consumers willing to pay? You can assess the customer's willingness to pay by maybe surveying your customers directly or maybe doing some questionnaires. You can also develop a best price, and there are a number of fruit and vegetable stores that you can take advantage of. Develop a best price from there, and that allows you to do an analysis and then account for competition for the products sold at the farm. But mind you, grocery stores are generally expensive in terms of their fruit and veggies, and it may not be a good idea to set that as your selling price, but you can use it just for consideration and analysis. So the premiums on top of the base are then used to differentiate your farm's product or products from the more common grocery store market. Then the determined premium price should then be compared to the cost of producing and marketing your products to the consumer. And if the cost-based product is higher than the competition and the customer-based price, then your business will run a loss or it will lose income. The farm will then need to adjust what is produced and sold, the product mix, the production practices, and marketing outlets or your selling prices. The last step is then to add profit margin to the cost based, that is the break-even price, then compare this price to the competition and customers' willingness to pay. So the process of determining a price for the farm is the same whether the product is a head of lettuce, is a kg of potatoes, or is a liter of milk. The level of competition or your customers' willingness to pay may vary by a specific product. So research is very, very important. But the method of determining the cost-based price and comparing that price to the customer and competition does not change. Also, the customer and competition-based pricing are very, very important because the final price has to exceed the cost of production and marketing, including a fair wage to your farm manager and other assistants. If your pricing is below the cost of production and the cost of marketing your product, then your farm operation won't be sustainable and you will eventually close. So thank you for listening in and for watching. If you have any questions, please do post in the comment section.